Assalamu alaikum. Good to see you guys again. Actually, this session was mainly to the students who attempted ATX and unable to pass their exam. But I can see like all of you guys are studying ATX for the first time, right? So rather than as a, you know, uh, rather than as a defensive or detective control type thing, we can discuss preemptively what what are the errors which normally students make and which you guys should avoid that. So let's bit talk on these lines. Okay. So what are the normal errors which students do make and which cause them not to pass their exams? One of the most common reason is poor time management. So time management is very crucial, but keep this thing in mind. Time management on quantity should not be on compromise of quality. So it's like it should not be you have to cover the exam, you have to cover up your paper and you destroy the quality of the answer. So please don't destroy the quality of the answer. So keep the quality maintained, and keeping the quality maintained, try to cover up the quantity. So first thing, no compromise on quality, right? And let me share one story with you on these lines. There was one girl. Uh, she 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 attempted ATX thrice, and every time she was like, "Sir, I approximately complete my paper every time, but I am unable to pass my exam. So why is that so?" So I asked her like, are you comfortably completing your paper, or is it like always in hurry you are completing your paper? So she was like, sir, it's considering the length of the exam, it's not really practically possible to cover the whole of the exam comfortably. So I'm always in hurry. So I personally advised her like, rather than completing the paper, focusing on completing the paper, target on quality first, then second target should be quality. Then in that attempt, she attempted the paper of 80 marks, and she was more worried because she was like I am previously completing my paper for 100 marks and unable to pass. This time I have attempted paper of 80 marks. How would I clear it? But this time she secured 63 marks out of 80. And why is that so? Because whatever she did in her paper, that was with the quality. And imagine 80 marks attempted and securing 63 marks means, without using any calculator, I can roughly say whatever she attempted, that was like approximately 80% correct. That was like 80% correct. Only 20% was wrong. So we should maintain this level of accuracy that whatever we are doing, we should be crystal clear what we are doing, what we are writing, rather than just writing and writing and writing and don't know myself what I am writing, but keep writing. So focus, like quantity is important. I'm not saying quantity is not important. Quantity is important, but along with the quality. Quantity should not be on the compromise of quality. First thing. Second thing, uh, considering today's environment, students at times do lack on the computer skill side. So at times students are not very much aware, not very much clear whether like on the linking side, on the referencing side of the spreadsheet. I don't know why, but still students, some of the students like this. So uh, for this to cover up, one of the ideal thing is try to attempt at least 3 mocks on the CB platform, and out of that mock exams on CB platform, one at least one or two should be within that time frame. When I'm using the word time frame, I mean to say it should be check out your watch, starting time, like put a countdown timer, for example, stopwatch. Once time's up, stop writing. Analyze yourself where you are going slow, where you need to speed up, where you need to pace up. But that's not today's agenda. That's towards, like, you can say, the last week agenda. Third important thing, one of the most common complaint from the examiner, and let me tell you, one of the very interesting complaint, students do not relate the requirement or the rules from the scenario. Like, for example, if in a given scenario, the scenario is discussing about a character, for example, the name of the character is Raza, let's say. In the answer, you should not be writing he would be or she would be or it would be. Rather, do take a name of that person, like Raza should not do this, Raza should do this. And if anything from a scenario perspective is explicitly yes or no, do not discuss that. Discuss it with the explicit whatever is mentioned in the requirement, in the scenario, rather than keeping it generic. Uh, Plus the introduction of professional marks, like this would be the second attempt of the professional marks for ATX. Previous, the June attempt was the first one. This will be the second one. I shared earlier some thoughts on the professional marks, how to get it, how to grasp it. I can talk about still if any one of you is interested, like to have a discussion around it. So I don't mind to discuss around it. But at the moment, I'm taking a pause kind of stuff for this. Like, what is about the professional marks? Uh, Next, lack of technical skills. Students at times, they are like, we are aware of the concepts, we are aware of, for example, since this is ATX, we are aware of the reliefs, but we don't know how to apply it in a given situation, in a given scenario. Uh, Mustafa, for sure, let me give a, for sure, we'll share a quick brief with you around the professional marks. That's perfectly fine. But okay, uh, can I do in the interim? Some of the names are familiar to me, but can I request all of you to share in the chat box? Uh, is ATX your first attempt, second attempt, kind of thing? So that I would have an idea, like uh, what's my audience to whom I'm talking. Noted. Fatma, Norman. So that's like 2 years back. Sad to hear this, Mustafa. I noted your feedback, Samuel. Easter and Varsha left. So I understand for Easter and Varsha, it's your first attempt, right? Perfect. Perfect. So to Mustafa and to Samuel, if I take your feedback, like in your opinion, what is the major loophole which you guys are not addressing, which is causing the failure? So if you could share with this audience, if you want, you can unmute your mic and speak. That's totally up to you. Mustafa, Samuel, so that so that they can learn from your mistakes, for example. So that's the objective of uh, giving the floor to you. So time management, knowledge of rules. Mhm. So let me pick up each of these points one by one. So the first point is time management. So luckily and luckily, we had just the discussion on time management. And my advice to all of you would be time management is important, very important. But again, completion of paper should not be on the cost of quality. Maintain your quality. Do not rush to complete your paper, but whatever you are writing, whatever you are doing, make sure on a best effort basis you are doing it correctly. Nevertheless, like I said earlier, try to at least cover up 2 to 3 mock exams on the CB platform with countdown timer. So you would be able to address your issue whether whether uh, you are still running behind the time or not. Okay, so this is one of the way to manage the time management. How to answer the questions accurately. One of the biggest challenge in the exam is the exam pressure, or you can say the environment which is like at the moment which we are facing. So for answer to question the answer accurately, you should be confident whatever you are writing is correct, rather than rather than you are getting yourself confused. And let me tell you one my story with which was happened with me. So it is decade back more than a decade back, when I was studying my ATX exam. And let me tell you, I do still recall perfectly. In the scenario, in a section A question, in a scenario, there was a question which was about motor vehicles. And it was like the person purchased motor vehicles. He like antique motor cars, vintage motor cars, cost X, purchased Y amount, selling out for Z amount, gifting the motor vehicle. The scenario was very interesting. And I was like, when I read the requirement was what will be the capital gains implication. Now, on one side of the mind, half of my brain, it do recall motor vehicles are exempt from capital gains. But continuously, my heart is like, if motor vehicles are exempt, then for example, so big and huge scenario is just for this conclusion that it is exempt. Not possible. There would be some glitch, there would be some flip scene to the scenario, which I'm not picking. I I I I was like keep thinking about it for like 1 or 2 minutes. And then after a deep thought process, I concluded it like whatever it is, whatever like scenario big is small, it was exempt. So discussion like few lines discussion, 1, 2 line, 3 lines discussion, gift exempt, this exempt, antique, vintage, whatever type of motor vehicle it is, all are exempt. I concluded it ending up at exempt. By the grace of Almighty, I passed ATX in that attempt, but again, that was so many times lesson learned for me. Believe in your concepts rather than getting confused in the scenario. If you are not able to pick what to do, what not to do, take a deep breathe twice or thrice, think of yourself, and please don't be underconfident, don't be overconfident, because in underconfidence, whatever you know, you will lose it. And due to overconfidence, whatever you know, you will do it wrongly. So maintaining the confidence is important. To Mustafa, yes, exam technique, that's important. So with respect to exam technique, make up your mind before you write. Like rather than thinking during the writing, first think, then write. And you know, this point which I'm just referring, the professional marks has a lot emphasize on this. Think, then write. And which is like, you can say the structure of the answer. And just to share with you, in today's environment, in today's environment, there is only 80 ATX related marks and 20 professional marks. So it means examiner and ACCA are both more focusing on professionalism as compared to your technical knowledge. I met yesterday to a student. He was very great student. He studied TX from me and he just recently attempted his SBL exam. So I asked him, how was your result? So he was like, sir, I was like unable to pass the exam. I flunked at 48. I asked him, what was the reason? Did you see the examiner report, exam feedback? So he was like, sir, there was continuously a comment which was like, you are lacking professional skills. You are lacking professional skills. So I am clear with the technical content of the SBL, but based on the feedback, I think I need to work on the professional skills because I was lacking for the professional skills. So professional marks, please do give it a proper respect while practicing the questions. Application of text rules, knowledge of text rules. Application of text rules, knowledge of the rules. So this is something which has nothing to do with soft skills. This is something which is like technical knowledge. So if you're not aware with the application of text rules, knowledge of text rules, at times the problem and the complaint with the examiner is student do not pick up the, for example, with respect to capital gains, IHT kind of stuff, students do not pick up the reliefs available in a given scenario. Why is that so? Because probably you are familiar with the rules of the reliefs. If I ask someone what are the conditions for example, BADR, business asset disposal relief, he or she can list down all of the points. But if I give a scenario and ask to identify whether the conditions for BADR is met or not, if he or she is not able to identify, honestly, like, where is the professionalism? Where is the professional level? Because writing down the condition, this matter is done at the TX level. At the ATX level, you need to identify like whether the BADR conditions are met or not met in a given situation. This is the level of ATX where you need to identify, and it is possible that in a given situation there can be more than one reliefs which are eligible. So you need to identify one, two, three, which reliefs are eligible. And for example, in this relief to be eligible, what point is missing? So for example, with respect to BADR, everything is mentioned. Employment aspect is silent. Then you should identify, like for a BADR to qualify, the employment information is missing. If employee this, if not employee this, or solve the question with the assumption the person is employee or not an employee. It depends upon the requirement. For this thing, first of all, be clear with the rules, especially with the reliefs, etc. With respect to reliefs, I just had conversation few minutes ago. With respect to reliefs, I strongly advise to make your own list of reliefs. For example, capital gains tax reliefs, uh, gift holdover relief, rollover relief, BADR, incorporation relief, investor relief, principal private residence. Make your own list, mark your own condition, make your own notes, because all of these things would help in memorization, and it will support in your application. Because if anything is in your mind, then it will be easy to pick up. So brief introduction is on me of the professional marks, but anything in the meanwhile you like to ask, you like to discuss. If no, then I like to have a discussion on these professional marks. To Fatma, that's a very fair suggestion. That's a very fair suggestion. But other way around, my point is, do we have, considering the length of the syllabus, do we have enough time? So if you keep revise the same topic on weekly basis, it will help you a lot. I agree. But would you be able to practice on the remaining areas? I doubt, because if I count from today, we have less than 45 days in the exam. So yes, that's perfect. So that's always advisable. But one of the problem with the ATX exam questions is you need to identify which question belongs to which area. Like for example, if you ask me any question which has only capital gains, no other area, maybe one or two, not more. For rest of the questions, along with capital gains, there will be some aspects of inheritance, some aspects of income tax, etc., etc. So at the moment, for revision purposes, I advise, along with the lecture completion, I advise to solve the questions from the textbook, because textbook is like specific. Solve the questions as in like illustrations, examples, test your understanding kind of thing with that. Perfect. With respect to, I guess it would not work for me, at least. Let me do something else for you guys. So can you share your APM experience, like why you believe so that APM takes a lot of your time? If you like to share.
Okay, I would say APM to me. I am somebody who likes calculation a lot, and though I enjoy APM, but I've tried it for so many times, and I could not get it. So I intend to switch to ATX just to conclude my ACCA.
I
Is
understand.
it's more of it's not too direct because I can't really say what they want, and they're too strict in marking. You know,
Mhm.
you need to write a lot, and there's no much time, and you need to be in depth in your thinking. So I feel it's not as straightforward as other papers that you know the rule and you know what to write. You just go straight to writing it, and that's it.
Mm, Thank you for the feedback. 2, 3 points from my side on this whole conversation. Uh, for APM, so just to share with all of you public at large, I'm probably, in my opinion, I'm from one of those few guys who have attempted all of the 4 papers of 4 optional papers. Although past 3, that is a different thing. But I have attempted all of 4 papers. So I have idea about AFM, APM, ATX, and AAA. So I have attempted all of the 4 papers. For specifically APM, I can tell you, APM from a study perspective is, for example, on 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 east side, exam kit is on the west side, and paper is on the south side. So that's like totally opposite direction with respect to the exam kit, with respect to the exam, and marking is on the north side. So yes, I understand the problem with the APM, but for ATX, like, it has a good passing ratio as compared to APM, but it requires a lot of practice, a lot of practice. And just to share the with respect to the introduction of professional marks, just to share with the larger audience regarding the professional marks, there are 20 professional marks in the ATX. Um, Let me bit zoom it. Is my screen visible to all of you? Thank you. With respect to professional marks in ATX, there are 20 professional marks now and 80 technical marks. How this 20 and 80 is divided? So the paper format is changed. Those who not attempted, like who attempted early and not attempted in June, for them, the paper format is changed, and the revised paper format is, in section A, there are 40 technical marks, 10 professional marks with a total of 50. So section A would consist of one single question, which would be based on of 50 marks. Section B, 2 questions, 20 marks each, 5 professional marks in each question. As a result, each question like worth 25 marks. 2 questions, the sum amount 50 marks. So in total, 20 professional, out of which 10 is in section A, 10 is in section B, and in section B there are 2 questions. So this 10 marks divided into 2 questions. With respect to professional marks, examiner do expect 4 kinds of professional skills. 4 kinds of professional skills. The first professional skill is professional acumen or commercial acumen. Second is communication. Third is analysis and evaluation. Fourth is skepticism. Let me discuss all of these one by one. But before I discuss all of them one by one, I like to highlight in section A, all 4 skills will be examined. All 4 skills, 1, 2, 3, 4. Whereas in section B, combination of professional skills relevant to the question will be examined. However, this commercial acumen or professional acumen will not be examined in section B. So for section B, we have a list of 3 skills, and out of these 3 skills, any combination will be examined in the exam. So which will be dependent upon the scenario, the given situation, how to examine that. Okay. Let me talk about one by one about these professional skills. The first professional skill is communication. Communication basically refers, for example, write a report, write a letter, write a memorandum. What are the contents of report? What are the contents of letter? What are the contents of memorandum? You need to follow that. If you are following that in the start, to, from, date, subject, in fact, the use of proper headings is also part of your communication. Like, for example, in a given situation, the main heading, I'm just giving you an example. You are putting, and I hope you guys understand this thing. Heading 1 as bold, italic, underline. Heading 2, for example, bold, italic. Heading 3, bold only. Heading 4, italic. Heading 5, everything ignored, caps only. So this is a format, for example, which you need to decide. I'm not saying this has to be followed. Heading 1 would be bold, italic, underline. No, make your own theme during the paper and follow that, so that anyone, probably not by looking into the first heading, but if anyone is going through your paper, he or she, the checker, can pick up your theme. Right? What is the first heading? What is the second heading? What is the third heading? The theme should be picked up. Pickable, you can say. Communication. Analysis and evaluation. Analysis and evaluation is, you need to conclude, for example, here, based on the information given, this relief is beneficial, this relief is not beneficial, kind of things. For example, losses with respect, loss carry forward is not a good option, carry back is a good option, or current year is not a good option, carry back is a good option. Why is that so? You need to properly evaluate. Evaluation can be theoretical or it can be calculative as well, quantitative or qualitative both. Skepticism. Skepticism is keep challenging the information. Challenging the information doesn't mean that you say that whatever is written is wrong. No. Challenging the information means, for example, if a person says, I'm receiving this income and I doubt it would be in the scope of income tax. The person doubts, but being a tax advisor, being a tax consultant, it's your responsibility to ensure whether this income is taxable or not. And that's part of your skepticism, right? That's part of your skepticism, whether the information which apparently mentioned is true or incorrect. What could be the implications of this information? The last, professional acumen or commercial acumen. The professional acumen or commercial acumen is basically that while taking the tax decisions, keep the practical aspects as well in front of you. Like, for example, a person can have two choices. A person can go with the deferral relief of capital gains, or a person can go with the tax saver relief of capital gains. Tax saver means the release which saves your tax. For example, BAR, investor relief, PPR. And I hope you guys understand deferral relief, right? Whether the person should go for deferral relief or not, we need to check his liquidity position, because if the person has liquidity issues, probably person would agree to end up paying more tax in future as compared to less amount today, right? This is commercial acumen. Second, commercial acumen, as in, for example, if I delayed the tax payment, I could have opportunity to earn that amount into the bank and could have earned some interest income. That's the opportunity. But with this, there are other legal or tax-based legal implications as well, which I need to be careful of. So this is the commercial acumen which I used to follow. Like, do not think with respect to a bookish knowledge or with respect to a childish knowledge. No, think practically as well, because again, this is the professional level exam. Think practically as well that in a given situation, what is commercially making sense to you? So probably commercial decision would evaluate this thing, maybe. So these kind of things are the, so if anyone is not clear with any of the point of the professional marks, please do let me know so that I can talk on that lines. So, Fatma, probably the answer to this point is no, because commercial acumen is with respect to the client mainly to whom I am consulting. Like, imagine if let me tell you a story. Let me tell you a story. Samuel, I hope you will get it. Appreciate if you could drop this request into the group, in the WhatsApp group, because honestly, this is something which administration takes care of. And at the moment, I can see like there is no representation from administration. So your point is valid, but I advise you to raise this request in the WhatsApp group. That would be helpful. So with respect to commercial acumen, I was giving you an example. I don't know whether that sounds logical, practical to you, but at times it happens. In some places, okay, so for example, you go out for a shopping today, you have, and the shopkeeper prefers to deal in cash. And to discourage bank transactions, like he has a POS machine. I hope you guys understand POS machine, right? Point of sale machine, the card swap machine. But to discourage bank transaction, he has imposed 1% or 2% bank charges of transaction amount if you pay via card. So for example, if the if the if the amount of product is £100, for example, if you pay cash, that would be £100. But if you pay via card, you need to pay 2% more and you will end up paying £102. As I assume today you go for shopping, but you don't have the cash. You don't have the cash. What would you do? So two options. You forgot to pick up the cash. Two options. You go back home, bring the cash, or option two, pay via card, and you can ask the shopkeeper, you can charge extra 2% as per your policy, but I cannot give you cash. So this is a commercial acumen which I'm talking about. So here, if imagine, you can think on these lines like, if I pay via card, I will be ending up paying 102. But option two, go back home, pick up the cash, come back. Two aspects. There will be transportation cost. There will be transportation time. So this is the commercial acumen which you need to decide like, fine. So today I will shop via the card rather than going to home and taking up the cash. So this is the commercial acumen in this situation. You're most welcome. Any further professional skill which is not clear? By the way, skepticism, I repeat, probably I pointed that out, but I like to repeat. Skepticism doesn't mean that every information is wrong. But if anything is against the text rules, you need to think about it. That is skepticism. Uh, yes, any further question from this professional marks? Analysis is calculation. This calculation can be exact quantification as well, or it can be non-quantifiable as well. So for example, in one question, it could be possible you need to end up in discussing if high rate tax saving would be at 40%, if basic rate tax saving would be at 20%, rather than giving an exact answer. So analysis is calculation. Yes, I to much extent I agree, but in calculation, yes, broadly, but not necessary with quantification. So I hope you understand calculation and quantification. So one thing is there can be explanation of calculation, explanation of this thing. That's a different thing, not necessary quantification. To Varsha, yes, that would be case specific. To Varsha, we are discussing this thing like in section A, all 4 skills will be examined or can be examined. And in section B, there will be combination of professional skills. So yes, in a given situation, there will be a combination. So there will not be a single professional skill in a given situation. So in a given situation, you need to consider more than one professional skill at one point of time. You're welcome. One more different kind of analysis. Like I said earlier, there are 20 professional marks, right? 80 technical marks. In this 80, very interesting, 5 marks are on ethics. 5 marks are on ethics. So can I say this ethics to be non-text related marks? So it means text related marks are only 75. So rest 25 marks are non-text related, of which 20 professional, 5 marks ethics. By the way, I maybe missed to comment on one piece which I like to highlight as part of communication. As part of communication, we were just discussing few minutes ago, think before you write, because if you start writing and keep thinking on, you will be ending up in haphazard answer. the communication skill includes the logical flow of answer as well. What should be discussed first? What should be discussed second? What should be discussed third? What should be discussed fourth? Link first, second, third, fourth, link creating type of thing. That is also part of the communication skill. And one thing just wanted to highlight, if you notice, ACCA is more focusing on professional marks, and that change is not in ATX only. That change is already happened and across all of the professional exams. So this thing silently highlights the importance of the professionalism agenda taken by the ACCA for its students. Anything in particular, any one of you want to ask? So I advise to complete exam kit, some questions on the ACCA platform as well. Think before you write rather than you rectify. So you need to spend more time on thinking and analysis rather than just pick up your pen and start writing it. Any further questions? Anything anyone of you want to share? Anyone of you want to ask? Because probably like that's a lot to discuss. But so please do make your takeaways from this session. If I make a takeaway, if I like to summarize, and I pray to my God like that gives me strength so that I can summarize all of the points together. First point, make a summary of the release so that it will be easy for you to memorize reliefs, conditions, etc., etc. Make your own summaries. If you make your own summary, that will help you to memorize. Second, try to cover the complete exam kit. Try to cover the complete exam kit. Especially 3-4 questions, 3-4 mock exams on CB practice platform, along with the time constraints, so that you will be able to manage the time. Too early to say, but I like to say, from an exam perspective, paper completion is important, but paper completion should not be on the cost of quality. Maintain the quality. While during the exam, don't be underconfident, don't be overconfident, maintain your confidence. At the moment, this is what in up of my mind. So I downloaded at all of that for you guys. Please do give a proper respect, proper look on these professional marks. So yes, ethics related area is a specific important, but it's not like ethics is not new for ATX. The ethical principles are same, threats are same. Just what majorly change over here is your capacity to think is changed. So for example, at times of your FAT, audit and assurance exam, you think ethics, you think threats and capacity of auditor. Here you need to think all of that in capacity of tax advisor. The capacity is changed, nothing else. All those ethical principle remains the same. Integrity, objectivity, confidentiality, professional competence and due care, professional behavior. All that five remains the same. Threats remains the same. Familiarity threat, advocacy threat, self-interest threat, self-review threat, familiarity threat. Everything is same. Uh, yes, my dear students, so if anything else, any one of you want to discuss, ask, please do let me know. Else, I'm done with the discussions which are up in my mind. So if you want to hear from me, you need to ask me the questions. Has the questions in the practice platform adjusted to factor the changes? Uh, Mustafa, yes, so not all, but some of the questions, yes, so they are updated to reflect the changes. To factor in the changes, to factor in the update in the Finance Act. So Twister, yes, like I said, mm, some are updated. So, but the good thing is that's already mentioned whether it is updated or not. So if anything is with respect to Finance Act 22, that will be updated. But if anything is like with respect to Finance Act 21, that would not be updated. Mustafa, I don't mind if participants are fine with this, so it can be done. Personally, I have no issue. So I'm just sharing a thought process. By the way, I'm fine with this proposal. You can leverage the WhatsApp group of Escribir Academy. I would appreciate the feedback on this. To Easter, the answer is yes. So this is basically I shared over here. How much marks belongs to which section? Here you go. I hope the screen is visible to you. So yes, you can use your so class group as your study group. So that's without any doubt. But so we can use other groups created by the Scriber Academy as well. So you can add myself and Sarja if you guys are comfortable to create any other group, so that if you guys are discussing any particular thing and if you believe so that, and obviously we keep checking the groups as well. So if there is any feedback for us, we will for sure provide that. Okay, so let's conclude it in this way. At the moment, let's keep the Scriber Academy WhatsApp group. Let's leverage that one, because I understand in that group already myself is there, Sarja is there. So if you guys have any issue in the questions, please do tag. We will respond it at our earliest. So if anything further, to raise it, else I'm good to end. Okay, perfect. So thank you from my side. Uh, Take care. Feel free to reach out for any kind of queries if you have. Your queries are always valuable and always welcome. Thank you. You're most welcome. You're most welcome. Take care. Allah Hafiz.